Hi, beautiful people. Sarah Chemaissem here, the founder of Beyond NLP Coaching, your one-stop place to break free from old patterns, move rapidly through challenges, and expand your growth even more. Today, we're going to dive into how your unconscious and conscious mind really work and why it's so essential to do the pre-talk with your clients before the hypnosis session goes into place, and how often it's more important than trance itself. And just to begin, I love to psycho-educate my clients beyond comprehension. And the reason why I love to do this is I find that it puts them in the driver's seat of their vehicle. So when they come in, they realize it isn't mind control. Don't forget, I actually do this over the phone before they come in. I get their full commitment that they're going to show up, they're going to do the work, and we're going to work together, and we're going to get them across to the other end, right? But before this, I'm going to explain to you some psychoeducation a little bit more, and then I'm going to give you some examples of how I deliver it to my clients, right? So think of your conscious mind as the tip of an iceberg. It's the part that plans, makes the lists, worries about the future, and regrets the past. Small, but extremely busy, right? Now, underneath that layer, there is the unconscious mind. This is about 97% of who you are, where your patterns lie, your habits, your emotions, your beliefs. Your immune system actually lives in that space, keeps your heart beating, your digestive system working, and it stores your emotional learnings you've ever had been built in from 0 to 7, which I've explained this somewhere in my other videos. And as you're hearing, even what I'm saying, you might also be already noticing just how much of your life might be running in autopilot. See, the conscious mind says, Monday, I'm not eating sugar. Monday, I'm going to begin that diet. Monday is the beginning journey of losing weight. Monday, I will quit smoking. I don't know what it is with everyone and the word Monday and having all these hopes and dreams about a Monday, and then only to notice that they don't go ahead of it and reaffirm to the unconscious that it's going to continue to run the program on their behalf, right? The reason why we say Monday, let's just say, and we don't fall through the whole thing is because it doesn't match the conscience telling the unconscious doesn't match the patterns the unconscious mind is already playing in the background, okay? It just bounces right off of it because it's on autopilot. It just won't sit there. That's why during session with your clients, you will teach them about repetition, because repetition builds habits, right? But how does that work? Starts with a thought. That thought has an inevitable belief that I want to achieve this thing. Then the thought comes out into an action plan. The action interrupts a habit enough times that creates a new habit. That habit then creates a behavior. That behavior in psychology is called a personality trait. And so if you did all of that, are you really your personality? Or could you potentially change your personality? Well, if it began with a thought, ran through an action that became a habit that showed up in a behavior, and it was called personality trait, then, well, yeah, of course you can change that. Anything is possible. Does it matter, Sarah, what age the person is? No, as long as they're willing to keep interrupting the thought that is in autopilot to create a new pattern, which is an action plan. And that habit builds up through repetition to achieve the behavior that then will show up in their personality. Everyone will be asking, who are you again? Where is John? Where is Sarah? I don't know this person. And yes, there is hope for change for everyone. That's my theory anyway. And I've seen it happen so many times. Now, what I'm going to do is I want to explain to you some of the pre-talk that I do with my clients in order to get them to relax and overcome the myth of abnormality of the unconscious. And I give them so many examples, but I'm going to give you one or two today. Try to keep this video very short. So I'll be sitting with my client and be like, think like this for a minute. There's an intellectual mind, which is the black and white, the yin and yang, the 1 + 1 = 2. That there is an unconscious mind, whereas the emotions, belief, values, habits, behaviors. Then there's something in the center. Carl Smith sometimes says it's the fight, flight, freeze, but for just this video's sake, I'm going to call it the critical faculty of the mind. Okay, park the amygdala for a moment, the fight, flight, freeze response. Let's look at the intellect. Let's look at the critical faculty, unconscious. The critical faculty is where the boundary is, and you cannot cross it to get into the unconscious, which allows a suggestion to go through. So a metaphor that I sometimes use with a client to get past the critical faculty, to get into the unconscious, sounds like something like this. So I tell them, so you've been in hypnosis many, many times, and I'll prove this to you because I've got to get them to really understand. And I don't know if you realize, but being a hypnotherapist, it's all about belief and expectations. If you can build a strong rapport with belief in your client and show them what to expect, get them to experience it, half the problem is being resolved. Because once you access the unconscious, suggestions will be accepted, problem is resolved, gone, disappeared. Okay? It takes some priming and time to do this. But you tell them, imagine, just imagine that you're sitting here and there's a TV screen and you go into the cinema. What do you normally do when you go in the movies? There is a belief and an expectation. You watch the preview, it's about action or comedy. So you're expecting to laugh or to cry or to be sitting on the edge, or it's a horror movie, right? So there is a belief in you that something's going to happen or shift within you. There is an expectation of that delivery based on the stars that are behind the scenes, right? So you get in the movie and you sit there with the belief and expectation that you're going to receive something beyond norm, right? So here's the screen. But if you walked in the cinema in belief that behind the screen, they're just actors, they're not real, oh, I know this person, it's all fake. Do you think when you're sitting there, you're going to have the same response and reaction to everyone else in the cinema room? Are you going to jump out of your chair? Are you going to go into the fight, flight, freeze response when something pops up? Are you going to cry when someone dies, but intellectually they haven't died because you're using your rational mind? No. Are you going to enjoy the movie? No. Are you going to pay money to go to the cinema to watch a movie? Probably not. You'll stay at home. But if you want the experience, you park two things outside. You park your intellectual logic thinking, and you park the idea of what is and what isn't real. So you remove those two things. Now, do you remember at the beginning when I said intellect, unconscious, critical faculty? By you parking those two outside before you walk in the cinema, building up the belief and the expectation and all this momentum, the critical faculty has gone down. So this is the movie screen. You've already built the belief, the expectation. That's a drop. Critical faculties drop. Unconscious gone because it only runs from a 2%-ish program. 97%, 98% of your mind is the unconscious. Now, as you watch the movie, because the critical faculties park behind, everything that is happening in the movie and what they want you to experience, the sensation of grief and crying, the sensation of jutting out of your chair, the sensation of fear in your heart, your amygdala switching on, you're getting the full animated series of feeling your whole body flushing, your blood system as though you're the one that's under attack. Your heart is ramped up. Your blood flow is every part of your body. You're sitting on the edge. Oh my God, anticipation. But you knew before you walked in it was fake. But you parked those two thoughts outside so you can have a belief and expectation that you're going to have an experience. So the critical faculties dropped, unconscious open. They're giving you something. They've sent something intentionally to create something within you, right? You're highly suggestible. You're taking in, by choice, all the suggestions that are happening in that now during the movie. That's why everyone's crying. That's why everyone's laughing. That's why everyone's got the fear. The energy's been heightened because the critical faculty's been bypassed. Now, if the movie wants to send you suggestions, positive or negative, defeats the point. That's not the purpose of this video. But if they want to send anything, do you think your unconscious is going to accept it during that time? Think about it. 100% it is. Do you know why? Because you're open to suggestions and you've parked the rational thinking. But you don't believe it enough that when something pops out of the screen, you get out of your chair and run. The critical faculty that's been parked has a small amount of rationale somewhere to keep you safe and protected. Because if it did turn into a reality from the imaginative state of belief, you'll get out of your chair and you'll run. Yes or no? That's just the way the body functions, right? So that's what really happens. So when you're giving a pre-talk to a client, you're just explaining that what I do is I drop the critical faculty. My interest is your beliefs, your addictions, your habits, your behaviors that have been running in the problem that you're not liking in the waking state. And so all I do is cross and overcome the critical faculty, but with you helping me guide you. You being in the driver's seat, you're not sitting in the movie watching and expecting to see something you don't know how it ends until you watch the whole movie. In hypnosis, when you're sitting with a client, when I'm sitting with my client, there is an expectation of a result and a desired result they want to achieve. And because of that desired result they want to achieve, them and I have an outcome plan. And so I do the pre-talk that, yes, in the cinema, you've had experience of hypnosis, but during session, so they don't fear hypnosis. And that so their mind can adapt the unconscious suggestions I'm about to pull through. They, with me, let it go and be open to the idea of change and shift because now they're controlling the movie. They're producing the movie. I'm just helping them direct it. I don't direct the movie. I help direct the movie. So I do long pauses. I throw in a lot of suggestions and I park myself and let them produce everything, right? So when you come to do hypnosis with a client, the pre-talk is the main framework of any hypnosis in your lifetime, okay? It's explaining to the client the conscious mind, the unconscious mind, the critical faculties that sits in the middle, explaining to them that they have had this experience multiple times at the movies. Only difference is they've made a choice there to let it go. The way, and you pre-frame this and you feed that back in your session, the way you can make a choice now to park the critical faculty, to be open to the idea of what I might or might not be saying during our session today, to allow yourself to be open to delve in, to explore the possibilities, your own inner potential, your confidence, your inner truth that might have been parked because of 0 to 7 programming that you didn't even choose. And now could be the day that you make the choice to make that shift. Now, did you see what I did? I gave you a bit of the pre-talk. Don't go and do it the same. But then I slowed myself down. I slowed the pace, my tone, my tempo of my language, and I'm doing it again. I'm looking through into the camera, into your eyes, into your soul, so you can feel how you are in control. I am now going through the process of hypnosis, softening the critical faculty to feel safe and secure, to let go of the critical faculty, to feel okay with me, to accept the suggestion that as a hypnotherapist or as a client or whoever is watching this, your life can and it definitely will improve and get better when you choose what you want to keep and when you decide to let go of what no longer serves you. Did you feel that? Did your mind slow down? Did it interrupt what I was talking about and it delved in? That's the pre-talk you must give your clients. That's the pre-talk that I do with my clients. That's one. I do multiple. Depends who shows up. Those critical, analytical thinkers, I interrupt them enough times. I park their stories and I get something else and I scramble them until I can break free and break into the critical faculty. Park that and I let them know. Can you feel? Can you sense? Because it's, remember, belief and expectation that you're going to hypnotize them. You don't hypnotize people. They are already hypnotized. They come to you to get out of that hypnosis and get into a different hypnosis. And they don't come to you to delete their past because it no longer really exists except in their thought, what is showing that habit and that behavior that is showing up as their personality trait. They don't come to delete it. They come to let it go, to shift from it. They come to find another way to feel safe and secure. Some people come and think that you've got a magic wand and done, problem solved. No, no, no. They're doing the work, but you must give them the right pre-talk to get them through the process, to feel that trust, to build that belief, to build the expectation, to get them to go back into the driver's seat and delete unconscious emotional attachments, not the story, not the event, because that's a non-ecological, right? It's not something you do, but you delete the emotions, the feelings, the sensations, the images that are attached to a negative belief or habit or behavior that's been installed, but not the memory. You don't want to tamper the memory, leave the memory. The memory is there for their lessons, but they don't have to have the emotional wounds attached to the memory. And so that's where hypnosis helps go through that TV screen, past the critical faculty. And your work is to add the suggestions in there gently, only a few, and they can do the rest. They're capable. Ask them, what do you love? What are your resources? If you want to add that in there, that builds their trust even more. Not about you, but about themselves, because you're refeeding what they already know in the unconscious and you're just bringing it up to the awareness. So I hope that this has really landed, right? I want you to also just remember something. And what I would like you to remember is that your conscious mind is important, but your unconscious runs the show. And the pre-talk is where transformation actually begins, which means the moment that you sit with me as a practitioner or hypnotherapist, the change has already started. It's just the way it is, right? If this resonated with you, please like, comment, subscribe, because you never know who might need to hear this and feel less alone out there in the world, right? And before you go, take one thing from this video into your day today. Apply it. Practice, practice, practice. From my heart to yours, as always. Until next time.